She died a few days later. I think because she got tired and she was not anymore Angelina Jolie during that time. She was like Angelina Jolie, they were saying at that time. But so women can be very good snipers. No, it's very, very ironic, you know. So Women Against War, discussing human rights, conflict resolution, and peace building. The Women's Peace Table of Inday Santiago. If you look at what women can contribute to the peace process, not just the regular, the formal peace process, but the conflicts, settling conflicts, small conflicts in barangays, in villages, in municipalities. We know this. We have seen women stop a war, for example, a conflict from happening by doing the sex ban. No, what do they call it? Sex strike. They did a sex strike, yes, somewhere in, is it in North Cotabato? Yes, Alyosan, right? They did a sex strike because their men were having a rido, a conflict with other men. And they told their husbands, if you're going to get out of this house today and fight, you're not going to get any sex tonight, ever, unless you're going to stop what you're doing. But before they did that, of course, they discussed this. So they're organized. The women, the moment that women are organized, women, they're a formidable force. We're a formidable force. So they told their husbands, no sex, ever, unless you're going to stop this rito. And so the husband said to think. No, they didn't think at all. They just thought about no sex. Okay, so that ended the conflict. It ended the conflict. Very simple. Very simple. Basic needs. Very simple. So women can be really, really good and versatile when it comes to her dynamic role. So peace building, human rights promotion, conflict resolution, advocacy, capacity building, service delivery, even political representation, and then gender-based violence advocates and implementers of rule of law, human rights monitors. It's usually the women who are the best human rights monitors, di ba? Based on the experience of our human rights activists. Kasi kung lalaki, ang nangyayari, hinuhuli siya or nag-aaway lang. Pero kung babae, really, because we have a certain charm. Okay. So, challenges. This is the last slide. It's still a long way to go. The Bangsamoro new political entity. What are its implications for the women, both Moro and the IP women, considering that there will be a Sharia law? What kind of Sharia law would be implemented? Who would be interpreting the kind of Sharia law that would be implemented? What would be the role of women in the implementation of the Bangsamoro Basic Law? Where will the women be? Because we're looking at the experiences of women in Aceh, in Aceh. Si Shadia Marhaban is in Aceh, right? And these are one of the things that we have discussed. After the conflict, when there was a peace agreement, when there was a new government, they were no longer in the picture. We wouldn't want that to happen in the Bangsamoro. And then we have the RH law legal battle at the national level, which impacts on the implementation of the RH code in the ARMM. Of course, the amendment of the Code of Muslim Personal Laws at the national level versus or plus enactment of the Bangsamoro Basic Law that would have Sharia law provisions. Would it be only on personal law, or would they include criminal law? Would it be against the national law, against the basic principles of the criminal justice system, for example? And then poverty still persists, and we still have dismal human development indices. So hindi pa po tapos. So I end with what UN Secretary General Kofi Annan before has said. He said 60 years have passed since the founders of the UN inscribed on the first page of our charter the equal rights of women and men. Since then, study has taught us that there is no tool for development more effective than the empowerment of women. No other policy is as likely to raise economic productivity or to reduce infant and maternal mortality No other policy is as sure to improve nutrition and promote health, including the prevention of HIV/AIDS. No other policy is as powerful in increasing the chances of education for the next generation. And I would also venture that no policy is more important in preventing conflict or in achieving reconciliation after a conflict has ended. But whatever the very real benefits of investing in women, the most important fact remains. Women themselves have the right to live in dignity, in freedom from want, and from fear. So with that, I end the presentation. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Are you still there? Yes. Okay, this is going to be very short because Liza has given us a very, very good context of the situation in Mindanao. So like Liza, when I began to think about what I was going to say to you this morning, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning when I thought what I'm going to write. I was, again, like her, taken aback by the title. Have you noticed that most titles of speeches these days always seem to have a colon? Okay. I think it's a way of making a speech title look like it's only about one topic, when actually it has 2 or more. And then, when the title has 6 heavy words and phrases, as we have in today's title, and then it becomes even more daunting. Listen, conflict, cultural diversity, and plural legal systems in Mindanao, challenges and opportunities in advancing women's human rights. Which one is it? The words before the colon or the words after the colon? Well, I decided it's really the words after the colon you came here to hear about, but we need to use the first words as a background. Okay, that's that. So Liza's speech was contextual. Mine will be conceptual. I always like to make a speech where I'm trying to make sense of what's happening. So I hope that whatever I say here will make us start to understand what's going on, because that's the context. And why is that happening? And therefore, what can we do? In 2004, UNDP came out with one of their memorable human development reports. It was entitled Cultural Liberty in Today's Diverse World. According to Mark Mollock Brown, then the UNDP administrator, the 2004 report rejects claims that cultural differences necessarily lead to social, economic, and political conflict, or that inherent cultural rights should supersede political and economic ones. Instead, he writes, the report provides a powerful argument for finding ways to delight in our differences, as Archbishop Desmond Tutu has put it. Delight in our differences. By the way, this is a better way than calling it allergy of the other, as one author has done. Instead of dwelling on cultural differences, the report focuses on cultural liberty. It calls cultural liberty as a vital part of human development because being able to choose one's identity, who one is, without losing the respect of others or being excluded from other choices, is important to leading a full life. Brown continues, people want the freedom to practice their religion openly, to speak their language, to celebrate their ethnic or religious heritage without fear of ridicule or punishment or diminished opportunity. People want the freedom to participate in society without having to slip off their chosen cultural moorings. In other words, cultural liberty is the capability of people to live and be what they choose. Truly, cultural liberty is a human right and an important aspect of human development, and thus worthy of state action and attention. Brown cautions us that there are no easy or one-size-fits-all rules for how to build working multicultural societies. Instead, he argues that one overarching lesson is clear. Succeeding is not simply a matter of legislative and policy changes, necessary though they may be. Constitutions and legislation that provide protections and guarantees for minorities, indigenous people, and other groups are a critical foundation for broader freedoms. But unless the political culture also changes, unless citizens come to think, feel, and act in ways that genuinely accommodate the needs and aspirations of others, real change will not happen. Today in Mindanao, we believe that we are at the cusp of a period of peace, although the recent mayhem in Zamboanga has thrown a monkey wrench of significant proportions to the entire peace process. Say or think what you will, but Ms. Suarez's caper was about gaining or regaining respect. He believed he and his people and their aspirations were disrespected, and a more powerful motive, even for violence, one cannot find. Times like this, it is always good to go back to what we mean by peace, because it pulls us back to reflection, as well as to good planning. I have been working on peace issues for decades now. My original work with women, it was in 1976, when some of you were not even born yet. Okay, nor were you even a gleam in your mother's eye. Okay, so I started my work in 1976, and believe it or not, my original work with women was with Muslim women. So I didn't start working with Christian women until much later, but my work was with Muslim women. So I've had a long experience with working on cultural liberty, on diversity, on peace. So this year I started to think, what do I really believe peace to be? You know, because once you have that, and it's much easier to think of what you should do. Okay? So here's my simple definition of peace. Peace is the product of a process of increasing connectors and decreasing dividers so that development can occur. Now, isn't that a simple way of defining peace? It is a product of a process. So you have to have a process of increasing your connectors and decreasing your dividers so that development can occur. Now, what is development? A lot of people have so many highfalutin definitions. I have a very simple definition, and I've sort of lived through this, and I've gotten some from readings also. And I say development is, again, a process of increasing capacities and decreasing vulnerabilities so that people can expand their choices to live a long, happy life. So yung mga sustainable development na mga ganon na ek-ek, you don't need that in a definition of development. Huh? Development is just that. It is just a process. You increase the capacities so that people will live long, happy lives. Isn't that what you want with your life? It will be long. So healthy, diba? Oh, so happy. Oh, what makes you happy? Don't go into all the other things. That's all we want, is long, happy lives. So if we increase people's choices so that we can live